Hello everyone, welcome to Blue Dragon Universe, and this is the Excel Advanced course. So today we are going to cover this chapter on counting and summing. Initially I thought that maybe let us do the time and date first, but then I thought that this is a much better chapter, and I was told by my team that they are going to put couple of chapters in the YouTube. So I felt that yeah, this is the last chapter that will be put on YouTube to show the power of this course, how advanced this course is, and the remaining would be of course available at a price, right? So in our website, that is bluedragonuniverse.in, which is where you can purchase this course. So the all this subject matter that we have created till now and the upcoming. Right, so this is a very advanced course on Excel formulas, and if you have seen the previous videos, I think you will be able to understand, or you'll be, hopefully you are already appreciating that. So this is related to count and sum, and many people might think that yeah, counting, I know everything of counting and sum, that is there is not much to do there, right? But you will see that there are multiple things to learn. One thing, like the approach that I will follow from this video is, I have already written down the formulas, because earlier I used to write the formulas and it used to take bit of time. So I think just to save on time, we are going to, I have already written down the formula. So here you can see there are, some data that is present in from A1 to V10, right? And there we need to understand like different formulas, how we can do that. So of course, you know that if you just drag down or if you select a range, right? So it will show you the count, right? Or if you select a range like this, it will show you the average and the count and the sum, right? So that is of course the first initial way you can take the count or sum, right? I hope you are already aware of that in Excel. But other than that, suppose that you do not know how many, kind of, like if you do a count like this, count does not take into account the blank, right? So here, how many, kind of cells are there, how many in this data range, like if you have to understand that, then there is this. And this chapter will also require some knowledge on array functions. In any case, array function was supposed something that we are supposed to do, but then it will be done at the later stage, or maybe the last chapter would be the array function. But I think this chapter also need that knowledge, right? In some places, and you see that. So count first is rows. So how rows function works? So this data is called, this place is called data. You can see that we have already gone through the name range. So this we have kind of named data. And then rows, what rows will do? Rows will give you the number of rows, right? So rows will give you the number of rows of this data, and similarly columns will give you the number of rows of columns, right? So if you just to select this, right, if you select this and press F9, okay, so then this will give you 10, right? And if you select this just to understand what is going on and press F9, this will give you 2, right? So rows and columns, that is how your part. So that is the first thing that you need to remember. What is rows and what is columns, right? Rows is a function that give you the number of rows, right? And that is row with an S. If you just write row, so both the functions are there, like row, this function is there, you can see that, right? Row and column both are there, right? So if you come here, it returns the row number, right? But that is not what we are wanting or what we are using here, and that is where we have to be very very particular about the distinction. Rows give you the number of rows, right? Similarly, there will be column and columns. So use row and column, and rows and columns, the apostrophe, the plural, diligently, right? I've seen people making mistake between these two functions. That's why I called it out. Blank cells, how can you count blank cells? There is a function called count blank, right? So if you remember that count blank, there is a function, it is easier to determine how to find the non-blank cells, right? So it's total cell minus blank cell, right? That is what you can do. Or you can use something called count A. Count A will consider everything, right? Like count, there is also a function count which is given below, that gives you only the numeric value. But if you use count A, it captures everything. Wherever there is an entry, it will capture that, but it will not capture the blank, right? Or you can do total cells minus blank cells, that will also give you the non-blank cells. So there are so many ways you can do the same thing, but here count A, right? A represents sort of alphabet, right? And alphabet consists of number as well in this case, right? And but if you use count, which most people are familiar with, count only gives you the count of the numeric values, not the alphabet, right? So count is a limited function or restrictive function, but count a is better function. Non-text cells, right? So how can you determine non-text? Now we are kind of distinguishing between count, numbers and alphabets, right? So for there, the formula gets interesting, and this is a array formula. You can see this, right? So what I'm doing is there is a function called is non-text, right? So you can write this something like is non-text, right? So once you write is, and always like whenever I don't remember what are the functions available with is, so I just write is and see if there is something like this, right? So is non-text is a function, and if you just hover your mouse right here, so it will show you that checks whether the value is non-text, blank cells are not text, right? So that is what we have used. So is non-text basically tells you the function is non-text, right? So is non-text data, right? So if this is true, it will give you true, true, true in that way, right? And if that is true, then use one, right? So that is the purpose of if. We have not used the other the other thing of if, like the other condition, which is what if it is true for what is if it is false, right? So that we have, because in if you need not do that. You can only give the true, what happens when the condition is true, false may not be needed, right? So that is how it is. And then we have, so this will give you a range. So it is better understood if we go into evaluate formula, and if we click on this, you can see first it is, the all the text are kind of shown here, right? Then if I click on evaluate, right, so it is showing false, false, true, 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 right, true, and then there will be some false again, right? So here you can see the false. So whatever is the true, for true cases take the one, right? So basically that will give you the count, and if you sum those it will. So here you are working with an array, right? Usually in if condition there will be only one true, right, or only one false, and depending on that there will be condition. But in this case, what the use of the power of array function is, we are dealing with an array, and because we are dealing with an array, the sum function combines this, right, and gives only one sum. So if I further evaluate, you can see there would be false, false, and one and false one, right? So false is basically the if is here we have not given any value for that false, right? We can also give zero for false, right? That will also work, but in this case the false would be taken as zero by default, as by Excel, and it will kind of evaluate that as 17, right? So what I was saying was, here I can give 10 as well, right? And I press Control Shift Enter, right? So same thing will occur, right? So now if I evaluate quickly, you will see that, okay, false, right? False, and now you can see zero. For the false, I have got zero. Earlier it was coming as false, and for the true, I am getting one. So obviously, when all this one would be sum, right? So then that will give you the number of non-text cells. So I hope you get the how we have done this, right? Okay, so that is how it is. Moving on. Now, text cell, right? So obviously there is something called is text, right? So same concept is text, and you can do the calculation. I think now you understand the logic, right? So once this is the power of array formula, once you understand how array formula works, so here you have to think in arrays, like with a combination of entries, right? Rather than only one entry. If you can do that, it's very, very easy to kind of do everything else. Now, moving on, logical errors, logical values, right? So logical means this true and false, right? So same concept, using this function called is logical, right? So then there is, so along with the use of count function, we are also learning about that is text, is non-text, is logical, right, is number. So all this, I don't remember this, to be very honest. I know that there are multiple functions with is, so I just write equal to is, and all the functions will be displayed like I have shown. So this is how I work, right? Error. Now if there is error, right, so then there is error. There is a function like is error, right? So if there is error, means this one div name, right? So all these are error. So once again, same concept, any error, right? Now here I am So we have seen like non from here to here, like from non-text to this, all these are kind of array formulas. Now we are coming to individual errors, right? So here we are using something called COUNTIF. Maybe you are already familiar with that, but yeah, this is how it works. COUNTIF data, and if it is NA, then only count the the name. Here we do not have anything called NA, right? So that is why, and I have already mentioned what are the errors when you get the errors, right? So in a previous video, so there is no NA, there is no null here, there is one div error here. Using the count if we are getting the result, right? And then there is value errors, then there is no num errors, name errors, and there is no num errors, right? So I think you get this concept. Once you get the Excel file, obviously that will be uploaded in the course, right? Not in the YouTube. In YouTube you cannot upload this, but of course in the course all this Excel file will be uploaded. So I think you get the picture how this works. Let me check if I have missed anything. Text cells is error. The advantage of writing this or creating an Excel file beforehand is it's very difficult for you to kind of miss this, right? Yeah, I think I have done this. I've covered this. Now we'll see some maybe example of countif function, because that is where we have seen some example of countif function as well, but along with that we can see some other examples as well, right? So let us move to the countif examples. Yeah, now we are back to a new Excel file, right? So I think first of all, let us understand how this Excel file, what is the data, right? So once again, we have named this entire range, right? We have named this, let me check if I have not named this data, was I created this file with, okay, some days back. Yeah, so what we have done is we have give the name as per the column. So you already know how we have done that, right? So that is something called create from selection. If you just select that, and that will give you the name. So basically amount, type, and sales rep, that has been kind of named, right? And we already have the, so month is something January, February, March. So that for that we have created another name constant, right? So that is how it is. So basically, this represents this would be representing sales rep, right? Similarly, if I come here and select this range, this will represent type, right? So that is how it is. Now here you can see the sales reps name are repeated, then the type would be repeated, right? And the amount is repeated. So the first is, suppose you want to, there are multiple ways to do that, and that is what I am trying to show you. So suppose you want to calculate the amount that lies between, that is greater than 100 but less than 200, right? I have seen many people who are confused between this sign. This is less, this is greater than, right? So whatever is present in this side, you have to say in that manner. So this represents greater than this, this is, I am not going to make you understand the sign. I hope you understand that, right? I mean, this is something that is very basic knowledge. You understand greater than, less than when you are class 1 or 2, or maybe before that. So I think that you understand that, and these are used for computer for logical operators, right? So amount less than, amount which is greater than 100 and less than equal to 200, right? So how can you do that? You can do that using count ifs, right? So earlier we have seen count if, which is for only one condition. Here it is count ifs, which is for multiple conditions. So whatever things you need to kind of do the count, so that has been chosen. In this case it is amount, and here you can write within quotation, right? So you have to remember that this is less than 100, right? So this you can write, you have to know that yeah, many people just think that they can only write numbers there, right? Count if 100, count if 200 or something like that, but that is not the case. You can write less than, greater than, greater than, equal to, but you, because this is noun, this is not a text, right? This is like a logical function, right? So that is why this can also be used in count if or count ifs, and here you have to write this within the invitation code. So I think the formula should be very clear. Amount less is less than equal to 200, right? So we get four entries here, right? Similarly, what is this one? This is the January cells for Brooks. Brook is the name of the representative, right? So this is Brook. trust me, I have created this name just like that. Brook Albert Cook, like something like ABC. Basically, is ABC, right? So not judge me on the name. This is I was, I think, just a Champions Trophy got over, and I was thinking about English name, and this is what I kind of created. Anyways, I leaving the fun part aside. So now what I need to do is January cells, right? So January cells for Brook, and where can I see the January? So this is the month, right? This is the month for January, and for Brooks that exceeded 1,000, right? So obviously, I think till by now you understand how it is going to happen. So count if month, which is January, and sales rep is Brook, and the amount which will be greater than 1,000, right? So this is the condition, and here you can do two. Another way to see all of this is to use filter. So you just select this, control shift, the right click, and then control shift L, right? So that will help you select this. So now you can use this like January, okay, and then the cells rep was, I think, Brook in this case, that is B. So you can select B here, right? And the amount of cells that are greater than 1,000, right? So here also you can put something like this, greater than, right, 1,000. And so if you put greater than 1,000, right, so then automatically this two will be selected, right? So you can do the same thing using this filter as well, right? Once again, if you press Control Shift L, it will go away, right? The same thing can be done. So this is related to the COUNTIF function, right? Now we'll come back to the array function, because I think array function is a bit tougher, but let us first look at the alternate, right? So what is the alternate? You can use COUNTIF only instead of using COUNTIFs. Now COUNTIFs have made our job slightly easier, but if you want to use COUNTIF, right, so you have to calculate between 100 and 200. If you remember this 100 and 200, COUNTIFs let you directly input that criteria, but if not, then you calculate what is greater than 100, right? So COUNTIF greater than 100, COUNTIF greater than 200, and take the subtraction, I think, right? So basically it is how you operate in logical operator or set theory. If you are a, if you know set theory, so something which is greater than 100 and something which is greater than 200, the deduction between these two will give you something which lies between 100 and 200, right? So that is what has been done here, right? So earlier in Excel, after I think 2007, COUNTIFs got introduced, 2007 version. Before that, there was no COUNTIF, and that is why this is very important, right? Okay, so now there is another thing that we have done here similarly for the kind of calculation for Brook. And here this is where it get interesting, where we are using something called sum product. Now, usually people think sum product is like I should select this cell, I'll select this cell, this array, and then they would be multiplied, and then the multiplication will be summed, right? So this is what people usually think, but that is not what is going to happen here. So here we are going to use something which is kind of closer to the array formulas, right? So sum product month is equal to January, right? So month is equal to January, and then cells rep. So here it will search and it will find out which are the January. So you will, like we have seen that true, true, true in the if condition, same thing will happen here. That will be multiplied. That means and, multiplication means and. So these are all, these are based on set theory, right? If you are clear on set theory, so that will work. Now this will sales rep equal to Brook, that will come here, right? And then amount greater than 1,000. So same thing that we have used for COUNTIF, right? Same thing is happening here, but COUNTIF was like it's much more intuitive to understand, and this required the knowledge of set theory, right? So that is how we are getting to as well, right? So if I just go to evaluate, and you can see all this January, 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 right? So like that, and now it is coming true to true, and there will be some false as well. Here you can see there are some false as well, right? So the false would not be taken into consideration. The true would be then multiplied with the the true, which is in this case, which is sales rep equal to Brook, right? So if I move further, you can see the true, 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 and false, false, false are coming into picture. Then we are seeing Albert and Brooks, that condition is being executed, right? So now whatever would be true there, the true, true would multiply itself and will give generate 1. The remaining false and true and false would multiply and generate 0, right? So that is how you can see this 1 and 0, 1 and 0, right? And then there is amount greater than 1000, which is again where we'll get true and false, and then they would get multiplied to get fine. Eventually, we'll be getting 1, right? So this is how Excel handle this, right? Once you know that there is some product can do this, you can easily apply this. But for you to know, that is something which is important, right? Now, let us come back to the array part, and then we have considered calculated something else as well, where which we need to understand as well, right? So array formula. So how can you do it with array? Similar concept as sum product. That is why I've gone to the alternate section first. So amount greater than 100, right? Once again, set theory is being applied. So within sum, you are applying this condition, amount greater than 100, right? So first you have written sum, first, or maybe you are considering the you have written the criteria first. So amount greater than 100 multiply amount less than equal to 200, which is how we have done the count if. And then once again, you will get true, false, right? And you need to understand that whenever you are multiplying, going to multiply two arrays with true, right? So only true would give you 1 and false would give you 0, and those 1 and zeros will be summed together to give the count function. So I think this is easy to understand once you understand the sum product, right? So sum of that is easy to understand. In fact, once again, before 2007, this is how the calculation was done. But then some product got introduced, count ifs got introduced, so that has eased our job, right? So there are multiple ways of doing something, and if you're an advanced user of Excel, you should be very familiar with that. That is where you can give yourself rating of 9 out of 10 in Excel, right? If you know all of this, then only you are advanced user. It's like similar to playing cricket. Sachin Tendulkar has four different shots for the same ball, right? That is why he's an advanced user, and someone else might not have that many kind of shots for the same ball, and that is why that person is not a genius basically, right? However, if someone knows his or her limitation, then that person is also a genius, right? Because if he would be able to work within that limitation. As for example, if you ask me, just diverting a bit, but this is an important mindset concept. I think Virat Kohli is much more restrictive as a player. He do not have the array of shots that Sachin Tendulkar had. Sachin Tendulkar can play any shot in the book, from the helicopter shot, which is actually first played by him, to the uppercut, to sweep, paddle sweep, multiple shots, right? But you have not seen Virat Kohli play those shots. So he has a restrictive array of shots. But Virat Kohli's mindset is such that he, within those restriction, he can operate in a very great manner. That is why I'll also treat him as a genius, because he knows himself, and probably knows himself way more than Sachin know himself, right? So that is the reason Virat Kohli is a genius, and he has so many centuries and counting, right? Moving on. So here we are going to do the same concept. Sum month equal to January, sales rep equal to Brooks, right? So we are multiplying this, means and this, these are and condition. Multiplication means and, right? An amount greater than 1000, right? So amount greater than 1000, that will give you the sum for and then when you are going to sum, then you are going to get the result, right? Now, something that we cannot do by countif, but for that we require the this arrays, or the sum product. So January and February sales, we need what are the sales that are for January and February. Now we also have to understand why we cannot use the countif function, right? But first let us understand the formula. Let us come to the array formula, right? So what we have done here is we use the countif function month, and within that we have put this January and February, right? So countif, you have seen already putting only one condition, right? But here we have put an array, right? So here, as I mentioned, so you have already seen so many use cases of array, right? Array function. So it is so important to know array. Many people will just know that countif month, they can only put one thing, right? Like Jan. But here, if you put Jan and Feb, right? So then you are going to get the result, right? So countif, so that thing you can also do here, right? But once again, that then you have to so that this countif month Jan and Feb, right, that will generate true and false, right? So then you have to sum that, right? So you cannot just use a normal countif, because otherwise it will be an array, right? So this countif function is generating an array, right? It will give you true, false, true, false, true, false, like that. right? So that is how it works. So if I just wanted to show this to you, go on to evaluate, see how powerful this evaluate button is, right? So within this month, right? So you can see this is how it is coming out to be, right? 8 comma 9, and then you are summing it to calculate the data, right? So it is generating, you can see countif is generating an array, right? Countif month, so how many months are Jan? Countif month, February, how many months are Feb? And then it is generating 8 comma 9, right? That is the array. And then you have to add this, right? So whenever you are kind of sometime, and it is very sometime you might not visualize how to use this, but then whatever you are doing, if you use the evaluate formula, you will see, okay, this is how it is operating, right? So I need to put a sum function here, right? Okay, so how you can do that? Countif, that is the alternate, right? Month equal to January, and countif month equal to February. So that is the alternate, right? And I think this many people, this plus is here, in this case it is the union, right? So this is the union, and this is how it works, right? So same concept here, right? Countif, and same concept is here. You can also put this as count function here as well, right? So that will work as well. But then in this case, look at the logic, right? Here it is January or Brook or amount greater than 1,000. So this is or, right? This is or, this is plus, right? So this sort of condition, when you are having or and, these are, I believe these are best handled through array functions. So here coming to this sum, if month equal to Jan, right? So if your month is equal to Jan and sales rep equal to Brooks, right? So within it, this is the condition part, right? This part is the condition part. So that means, right, you can also use sum if, which we'll see, maybe sum ifs is something that you can use later, right? But here also there is a condition on the sum, right? So that is where I feel that yeah, this is how it should work. So this is the condition part, right? If this conditions, right, this till up to this amount, and all this or is denoted by this sum, the plus, right? So I think this is the unique case. So if all of this, we have seen this calculation before, right? If the if condition in the previous Excel file, we have seen this, like is error, similar concept, like is error, and then is text, is non-text, right? Same concept has been applied here. So if month is equal to Jan, right, and then sales rep equal to Brooks, and then amount greater than 1,000, right? So if all this condition, and this is plus 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 means or, so if this condition holds true, then please use the one and submit, right? So that is how you work. If you use countifs and Brooks, right, then there might be some double counting, right? You can try that. Why that is not going to work? There will be double counting, right? Now, January sales for Brook and Cook, whatever it is, right? So some month equal to January, right? So this is the January data is constant for both Brook and Cook, right? So the month is equal to January, and that this is and, right? So January is constant, and then Brook plus Cook, right? So if sales Brook and sales equal to Cook, therefore that we are going to get 1, right? And is for month equal to January, we are going to get 1. So that these are going to get multiplied, right? And then if you get this, that will give you the count, right? So you can see, I think there are so many example of that. Once you are habituated array function, you probably may not even use countif, right? So that is how it is. Now if you want to do this using countif, I don't think that is possible, right? Because then you have January. You can probably use that for using count ifs. Suppose if I write that formula, so let us try to do this count ifs. Okay, then my question is, what is the criteria range, right? So my criteria range would be, first it will be Jan, right? So let me choose this, right? So it is chosen as month. Okay, now what would be my the criteria that I will write January. Okay, so that is one thing, and along with that we have to write the name of the representative, which is sales rep, right? So that would be, I think, Brook, right? Brooks. So I'm going to write Brooks. Okay, so that is one part, month Jan and sales rep, and along with that there would be and other or part, right? So Along with that, I'm going to write this and this. Right, month is Jan and sales rep. In this case, instead of book, it will be cook. Right. So this should fetch me the correct result. Let us check. Right. So we are getting 6 as well. Right. So same concept has been applied here. Some month equal to January. So this we know, this will be common, and then multiply this. So there are so many ways you can play with countifs, right? There is array formulas, there is some product that I have shown, and this all these are based on the underlying logic is set function, right? Or set theory, the maths set theory, right? So and or how and or works, right? And then you have to determine, okay, so if this is what we want, so if this is true, then we are going to get one only, and if that should be multiplied with when other things is true, and then that will give you the result, right? So that is how you use sum and count and the countifs, right? So I hope that is clear to you. And this is a this is not easy to understand, right? But this is a difficult concept, and I hope kind of you are clear on this, right? So I'm just checking if there is anything that I missed, and then we can wrap up this segment, right, which is for countif and countifs, right? And up to this point, I believe you understand how advanced this course is, right? And it will be totally worth the money. I don't think there is anything outside which is like this. Okay, let me check. Yeah, there is nothing, right? So let us move to the next section. One thing I forgot to mention is you can also use wildcard with countif for countifs, right? So wildcard, we know if you have single character, you use question mark. If you have multiple characters, you use what can I say? You use the star asterisk, right? So this is how I just wanted to show this to you. So countif, right? Forgotten to create an example of that. So suppose I'm selecting this, right? And going back to the formula, right? So suppose I want to choose Albert, right? So if I write question mark, that means replace this with the wildcard, and I'm going to write bird, right? So it should identify that, okay, this is the Albert, right? And it will give me the corresponding result. So here you can see it is showing me 6, right? It is showing me 6, which we can easily verify by going here, right? And putting text filter equal to, if we write Albert, right? Albert, and click on this. So here you can see there are 6 entries, right? So that is how it is. We know that this is working. Similarly, if we put, and maybe let me just change this, right? So it is slightly better example. So I'm going to write asterisk, right? Okay, so it will also identify Brook as well as Cook, right? And I'm going to put another asterisk. So whatever, I don't know how many characters are there. I just know that this okay is there in the name, right? So I want to count that, right? So if I just do that, it will give me 20, right? So that means that it will select for both Brook and Cook, right? So if I go here and select Brook and Cook and to the count, so it is 20, right? So that is what we have done. So this is the use of wildcard. We are already familiar with the wildcard. We have seen that in a previous chapter, but how we can apply that, and that is the part that we have. Sorry, let me keep this, right? Why should I delete this? So that is the part I wanted to keep here, right? So that's it. Then let us move on to the next section. Okay, here we have a range, and we want to calculate the mode, right? Mode means the most frequently occurring value. That is a statistical concept. So if I just write mode, we have something called mode, which is a depreciated function. Means it will be removed, right? It is just kept for 2007, so you can use this, right? And if you select this range, right here, I have not named the range anything. So here you can see 10 is the function that is the number that is appearing most, right? So let me write this as smooth, right? Now how can I use that, because that is a depreciated function that is not suggested, right? And it creates pressure on Excel. So how can you use another function, right? So maybe we can understand that in different ways. We are also going to write an array function or array formula, so that you get formula count if, okay. And here we are going to go into data, right? So this is the data, and within that we are going to write the criteria, right? So you can write the criteria as mode. So here we are going to use the mode function, right? And select the thing. So this would give us what would this give us, right? This will give us the number of times the mode has been occurring, right? So you can see 10 is occurring 3 times. So basically I am using countif and mode together to determine the number of, first I have determined the mode and then I have determined the number of times it is kind of occurring, right? So then let us determine the frequency once again, right, using an array formula, right? Let us do that. Then how can we do that? So this is so of course it is maximum number of times, right? So then it will be maximum number of times something is occurring, right? So I'm going to write max, and then you have to think from array perspective, right? So count if, right? Count if, and this is the range. Within this range, what would be the criteria, right? The criteria would also be this range. So I want the one to be evaluated in this range, then I want the two to be evaluated in this range. I'm thinking from array perspective, so I'm always thinking from a range perspective, right? So I'm thinking simply selecting the same thing, right? So then obviously this, what will this what this function will do, this will obviously this number whatever is one, that will be evaluated in between this, right? And then two will be evaluated between this, so it will create an array, right? And over that we are selecting the max of the number function which have maximum number of repetition, that will be max, right? So I'm closing the bracket. Now I'm pressing Control Shift Enter, so that also works, right? So this is how I kind of I mentioned. So this is I have used the mode function to get this value, right? And then from there I am using the frequency, right? So this is how I can use the frequency to determine the mode. And I think I mentioned that mode is a core kind of depreciated function. So something which is kind of being repeated, like which was used in 2007, right? So what is the method, that is there any other method using which I can determine 10 is the mode, right? What do you think about that, right? So within this, right, within this, if I if I have to determine the number of frequency, right? So for all of this I can determine the frequency, right? And if I determine the frequency, then the one which has the maximum frequency, right? So that will give you the mode function, right? So if I have to do that, then I have to use something called index and match, basically, right? So then that can give us the results. The index and that is index and match would be obviously kind of used in the lookup function chapter. But let us write this, because as I mentioned, mode, this is something that is compatible with 2000, kind of 2007 Excel version of 2007, right? So if I write index, okay, and then I'm going to select this data, obviously, right? So yeah, sorry, I have not kind of put the tab. So I don't know if this function is work. I'm just thinking at the along how we are kind of writing this. So index, that is the data. Now we have to use the match, right? So we are thinking from the data perspective. So match, and within this, what would be the lookup value? The lookup value would be something that would kind of give me the frequency, right? So count if whatever we have written here, right, that will be the lookup value. So that will be a max of count if, right? Max of count if data, which is this one, and then again data, right? Same concept. That is my lookup value, right? So within that, the we am trying to determine that, and within that, the data would be count if data, right? So within this, my the this is what I am. So match, for the match function, this is the lookup value. And what is the lookup array? The lookup array would be only this one, right? Only this one. So I think I've missed a bracket here. Let me close the bracket for max as well. And here, this is my array, lookup array, right? So this will give me the array where I'll get the count, and from there, whatever is the max, which is 3, right? So that would be chosen. So all this I'm not doing in Excel. I'm just using my knowledge of array formula, right, to get this done. And then from COUNTIF, let me close the bracket for match, I believe. Then I need to close the, yeah, so let me check if all the brackets are closed. So match has this. This is the lookup function for match, and this is the lookup array for the match. That is perfectly fine, right? And then I need to close the index, right? So for the column, I don't need anything else. So column is a, once again, that is optional, right? So let me check if I have done this correctly. For match, right? So for match there is, let me come here. So match there is, okay, so there is lookup type. Lookup type, I just need to select the lookup type, I guess. So lookup type would be true or false, right? So this is the lookup type, which here I have put like 0, which is exact match, right? So this is the match. And then let me think, there is, if there is anything else. Index, the column number is optional, so I don't need to put that. You can see that is given in the square bracket or third bracket. So this is my index, right? So basically what I'm, once again I'll try to repeat the logic. This is max of max of count if will give you the number of max count if will give you the this 3, and this 3 it will search in all the frequency of all the numbers, right? So wherever that is 3, it will kind of match that within this array, right? Take the corresponding position and give you that number. So now I'm going to enter, control shift enter. uh, I think it is not a, yeah, I think that the it has not taken the the array format. So yeah, so now I think somehow I missed pressing control shift enter at the same time. So now it is giving us 10, right? So here you can see this is how we have done this for the the index function, right? So I think this is where I should, there are many concepts that we have kind of gone through, right? And there are also many concepts that are left, obviously. So I think we can cover that in the next part. Otherwise, it will be very heavy for the first part, right? So there are multiple more interesting concept, and you have seen how we have used the array functions and the array formula. Now the next section that I have written, and I thought that I'll cover it in this part as well, but that is not going to happen. So I'm going to determine the number of words in a range, right? And we already know how we have done that in the text function. We have used substitute to determine how many spaces are there and how many words are of a particular type is there, right? So we are going to use the same concept here, right? To use the substitute and to determine whether something what is the number of occurrence in a range, right? So we are going to start from there. But this is the end of part 1 of the count and summing techniques, and see you in part 2. I think that would be the last video that will be updated in YouTube. And from there, if you like the course, by 31st March 2025, the Excel advanced course is coming. This is part of our fresher actual fresher pinnacle course as well, where CS1, CM1, right, are, and all of this would be kind of completed. So we have a deadline of an VBA basically. So CS1, CM1, VBA, Excel, and Excel NR would be completed. So we have a deadline of April 30. It might go bit here and there, but if you are an actual fresher, if you're looking for interview, and along with that Sparkle 1, obviously Sparkle 1 is our flagship course, right? It has sold the maximum copies. Very proud to be have created Sparkle 1. Very positive feedback. So you can, all the links of these courses are in our website. So the website link would be given in the description. You can go there, you can browse to the website, see what are the courses. If you're interested in stock market courses, are there as well, right? So you can check those, right? spend time judiciously. I have seen people, instead of going through the website and browsing that, they come back to us saying, can you give me the link of this course? Just use some, maybe some couple of seconds, right? If you can't even do that, how can you be a good actual student, right? So just do your homework, see what is kind of written, and go through the course details, right? So I think you will find many advantages, and that will help you becoming self-sufficient as well. So with that, I close this. See you in the next video.